As all of those before us, during the proud history of this second oldest district court in the nation, we are but temporary custodians of its traditions and authority, and the living institution that is the court has afforded each of us that rare opportunity to reach beyond ourselves in its service.
When Chief Judge John F. Gary spoke those words, he echoed a long and proud tradition for the District of New Jersey. From its very beginning, it has been known as a court with impeccable jurists, lively cases, a dedicated staff, and a hard-working bar. A brief overview of that history tells the story through a sketch of some of the important individuals and occurrences over the last 225 years. If not for an untimely illness of the district's first judge, David Brearley, New Jersey would have been the first and oldest court in the nation. Brearley was the first of many dedicated patriots to serve as district judges. He served in the New Jersey line of the Continental Army and saw action at Brandywine, Germantown, and Monmouth. He also served at the Continental Congress and was a signer of the Constitution. In 1779, he succeeded Judge Robert Morris as New Jersey Supreme Court Chief Justice, who ironically succeeded him as a federal district court judge 11 years later. On September 25, 1789, he was nominated by President Washington to be the first federal district judge for the United States District Court for the District of New Jersey. He was in poor health after the 1787 convention and never fully recovered. The minute book of the district court recites that his indisposition required that he adjourn the opening session set for the first Tuesday of November 1789, costing New Jersey its first court status. He died only a few months later at the age of 45. Judge Brearley was succeeded by a number of dedicated jurists who were either judges or patriots in the colonial army. Judge Morris served for the next 25 years. He was followed by William S. Pennington, William Russell, Malin Dickerson, and Philemon Dickerson. The court had its share of colorful characters over the years. Judge Guy Fake, the court's first chief judge, was known for his disdain for prohibition and his views on modern art, banishing the court's statue of Lady Justice because he thought it was communistic. Judge William Clark ruled the 18th Amendment unconstitutional, only to be reversed the next day. Judge Philip Foreman was certainly one of the most illustrious of the judges in New Jersey. Judge Foreman began his government career in 1923 as an assistant United States attorney. He eventually became U.S. attorney and was named a district judge in 1932. In 1959, he was elevated to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. In 1972, he authored an opinion in which the Third Circuit held a New Jersey law banning abortion as unconstitutional based upon privacy and vagueness issues. In maybe one of his most enduring acts, he swore in Albert Einstein as a citizen of the United States. However, his most important work came as chairman of the Supreme Court Advisory Committee on Bankruptcy Rules. He served as chair from the committee's inception in 1960 until 1976 and oversaw the creation of the framework for the operation of the bankruptcy system. Chief Justice Richard Hughes of the New Jersey Supreme Court described him in the context of a Roscoe Pound aphorism. So majestic is the edifice of the law that the least of us is proud who can point to one stone and say the work of my hands is here. How many walls did this man build? The bankruptcy system goes back as far as the earliest days of the country. Anthony Walton White, once among the wealthiest men in Middlesex County, filed one of New Jersey's earliest cases under the first national bankruptcy law. Coincidentally, one of White's largest creditors was then District Court Judge Robert Morris. He heard the case as the only sitting judge, conflicts not being much of an issue back then. The Bankruptcy Act of 1898 created regional collection of part-time positions known as referees in bankruptcy. The most distinguished of these early referees, as they were known, was William Lipkin, who served as both a referee and later bankruptcy judge until 1984. The federal magistrate judge system came into effect in 1968. New Jersey was one of the 5 pilot districts to test the program. The experience in New Jersey was used to help determine the structure of the magistrate-judge system for the rest of the country, and today it is one of the most progressive and productive benches in the country. Of course, the court would have no purpose without litigants. There are too many to mention, but one recent barrister deserves special mention. Donald Robinson is known as the Dean of the Federal Court family and has spent most of his career before the federal bench and in service to the federal court. He was the cog that made the court's historical society run and has been practicing law for over 60 years. There were also many firsts in New Jersey along the way. Judge Clark started the first school for jurors in the United States, and New Jersey had the first woman jury foreman. Judge Ann Thompson was the first African American and first woman appointed to the bench. Judge Joseph Rodriguez was the first Hispanic American, and Judge Jose Linares was the first Cuban American. Judge Rosemary Gambardella was the first woman bankruptcy judge in New Jersey and the youngest in the country. Although the judges of this court took their positions seriously, they didn't take themselves seriously. Don Robinson recounted a story in the Historical Society's newsletter about Judge Meany. Judge Meany sported a pince-nez and burned incense in his chambers. He once told a litigant to teach your grandmother to suck eggs. The surprised litigant found out later that it was translated, "Tell me something I don't know." Finally, there was a story relayed by Judge Fisher, who indicated that Judge Coulihan came in one day and found a note from Chief Judge Augelli complaining that Judge Coulihan was always tardy. Judge Coulihan stormed to Judge Augelli's chambers yelling that he didn't work for him. After several minutes, they realized that they had been set up by Judge Whipple. It was that playful spirit that influenced Judges Fisher and Gary.
On one of my visits to Camden, then Chief Judge Cohen handed me the case of the topless dancers. What had happened was that Judge Cohen had upheld the prosecutor's closing of a Pennsauken saloon which featured unattired ladies. Judge Cohen had seen pictures of the performance and some stills, but had not gone over to the site itself to watch the act. In the opinion which he issued, he stated very succinctly, "Swan Lake it was not." The Third Circuit of a Court of Appeals reversed, not on any legal ground, but on the failure of the trial judge to witness the performance in person.
I'm not exactly certain, but I think I started being wonderful when I was about 4. As Mitch Cohen used to say, they make the mistake of buying the baloney. Well, that's not going to happen here tonight, gang. No ego exercise up here. And I could best prove the point by sitting down right now, but I'm not going to do it. I don't feel that strongly about it.
Judge Fisher and Judge Gary were two of the district's most affable and influential judges. Both spent time in the military and eventually became chief judge. Judge Fisher, in addition to being known for his handling of the Camden 28 anti-war case, accomplished the unprecedented feat of gaining approval for 3 separate courthouse construction projects simultaneously, with the Trenton Courthouse eventually being named after him. He also initiated the formation of the court's Historical Society. Judge Gary was a self-effacing jurist of impeccable wit, but extraordinary political skill. Chief Justice Rehnquist tapped him to be the very first district court judge to serve as the chairman of the Executive Committee of the Judicial Conference of the United States, which was the most influential position in the federal court system. And so, we find ourselves today just as dedicated as our founders, constantly evolving to reflect our society, and committed to the administration of justice in this, the second oldest court. A court that has evolved into a diverse and complex institution. Once again, Judge Gary expressed it best.
The United States District Court for the District of New Jersey, but for a odd happenstance, would have been the mother court, but is the second oldest court in this nation. More than bricks and mortar? You bet.